Welcome back, viewers. You are still tuned into Prime Live, and it is a Motivation Monday, so you can definitely look forward to an inspiring conversation with Nancy Schongalla, who is a trailblazing leader and the founder of Adopt a South African Preschool, or better known as ASAP. Now, the innovative nonprofit is dedicated to transforming the landscape of early childhood education in vulnerable South African communities. Now, since 2020, ASAP has been providing critical resources through educational toy libraries, as well as supporting the growth of informal daycare centers into fully functioning preschools. With her team at Penn, Nancy has empowered over 1,000 women caregivers and impacted 10,000 children through their innovative model. Good evening, Nancy. Thank you so much for joining us on Prime Live.
My pleasure.
I mean, it's such a privilege for us to have a conversation with innovators like yourself. This is absolutely the kind of programs we want to see across South Africa, because we learn about how much early childhood development is and how crucial it is to the future of that child's academic success. And missing out on those formative years, it can be detrimental to their educational future. But before we delve into all of that, can you tell us a bit more about the founding of ASAP, or Adopt a South African Preschool? Can you tell us what inspired you to start this incredible initiative?
I had the opportunity to come to South Africa for the first time in 2018. And after giving some lectures for a couple of weeks, ended up in Cape Town doing just vacation week and took a township tour. During that tour, we stopped for a few months at a preschool there that was loaded with children, and the women who were working there were really trying to do education, although they clearly had limited resources. But what stuck with me was the hope of what was going on in that school for these children and the love for them. And outside this kind of level of poverty I had not seen before. And something in me just said, I need to help this preschool. And that's where it started. And then talking with a dear friend of mine, Marlise Nell, who lives here in Pretoria, she said, if you want to help that school, I can help you help, because I had an educational toy store in Pretoria, and I know about toys and what they do for development. And I know the suppliers, and so together we helped that school. But then in conversation with Penn, Participate, Envision, Navigate, who you mentioned, they said, if you want to do something for preschool, we've got a mission. And that mission is to actually set up educational toy library resource centers where we can train people in the townships, not try to get them to come to our central office in Pretoria, because that doesn't work. But these women who have informal creches and daycares are eager to learn, they're entrepreneurial, and if you can provide the toy libraries, we can do the training in early childhood development.
I mean, that's incredibly innovative and the perfect way to start off our Monday, Motivation Monday, actually, because, I mean, you've identified a key issue in South Africa, and the lives that you've touched will continue to be, impacted and successful as these children get older. The fact that they now have these resources that they didn't have before, they're going to have such a, pivotal effect on their educational career. And talking about that, you've empowered the women in these schools with the educational training as well as the mentorship to be able to provide for these children. Can you talk us through how the mentorship and training that these women and now educators, can you talk us through the impact that the training and the mentoring has on them as individuals?
Well, my understanding, because I'm not really in on the day-to-day, I'm more at the administrative fundraising in the United States, but having visited many of the preschools and our toy library hubs, they're so grateful for the opportunity to be trained and to know how this toy does this for this developmental foundational skill. They love that they have access to toys and games and puzzles and dolls, books, and then they're also trained in activities and songs and how do you work a lesson plan for the next week. They meet every week on a Wednesday for an hour. And when I say they, I mean 30 women who are connected to one of these toy library hubs come for training with the 3 coaches that work with that group of 30 preschools. And they collaborate with each other. They have so much fun. I mean, I've seen pictures, I've been part of it, videos. they just love sharing ideas with each other, lots of laughing, spontaneous singing, just kind of, it's just heartening to see it and to feel it. And my understanding is that their sense of themselves is evolving. We call them teachers immediately. We call their daycares and creches preschools immediately. It's just the mindset that we're moving forward with them. And the gratitude is, I mean, it's very sincere, and hugging and thank you, and I get videos almost every day from what's going on here, and just got one last week, and they're singing thank you ASAP as they're opening up boxes of toys to extend their libraries, new ones, additional ones that they've asked for, that they want more of, and just and it's just lovely.
I mean, wow, that sounds like an absolutely beautiful environment and such an incredible, opportunity, yes, for the women to be able to educate themselves and also develop when it comes to their mentoring and growing as educators. Because when they're able to grow as educators, then they're also able to grow the learners along with them. And like we was talking about in the beginning, is that early childhood development education is so crucial to a child's upbringing and their future academic success. And this is exactly what ASAP is trying to do, is trying to bridge that gap and provide the necessary resources for early childhood development. And one of the concepts which I've heard a lot about is education through play, or learning through play. And that's the whole idea and the concept behind the toy libraries. Can you teach us a bit more about what is this entire concept of learning through play, and why is it so effective for early childhood development?
Well, it is how children learn. And I have a child. Until I was involved with this, I didn't even fully understand that. These toys are essential for learning sequencing, numbers, early sounds of letters for early reading, for interacting with children and teachers, how you even put the toys away and take care of them. There are large motor skill kinds of things like balance beams and hula hoops, their balls, and the different singing games, and putting things together, making Legos has donated Lego kits, and we have sounds kits, which are an early reading phonetics program that are just amazing. But it's through play, and then they try it and they try it and they try it, and they keep trying it and they get it and they're so excited. There was one little girl that showed up at, I think, the first of the toy libraries that we created in Nelmapius. And for several weeks, nobody knew whether she could even talk because she didn't say anything. And she was stacking those colored cups one day, and they kept toppling over, stacking. Finally, when she got them to stand and they stayed, she said, "Teacher, I can." And then from there, she kept talking. Now we knew she could talk. But it's that kind of experience of, aha, I got it. Can do this now. Now what else can I learn? But 90% of the brain's development happens in the first 5 years, or doesn't. And I don't know if you're familiar with these statistics here, but I understand, and I've read this in the Thrive by 5 study and other places, 80% of South African fourth graders can't understand what they read, and 40% can't read at all. Now, that's just because they're in places where that's not been part of what they were able to do. They don't have books in their homes. So it's not like the United States doesn't have this issue too. We do. Lots of countries do. It's just my call is to work on it here with this incredible team of people. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this if Penn wasn't doing what they do and asked us to help them do with setting these things up. It's a very rich, informal partnership that is evolving every day. Very exciting.
It sounds like an absolutely beautiful collaboration.
Yes.
And, thank goodness for organizations like this who are making these things possible, because the statistics you shared are absolutely alarming. I mean, that is a large majority of South African children that are reading without understanding. And like you said, that early childhood development phase, those first 5 years are crucial to be able to get to that level of academic success, to set them up for life. And thank you so much for sharing that success story. I mean, that's such a beautiful thing to be able to see a child's progression through the resources and the training that you're able to provide for them is so crucial. But a lot of our viewers actually want to know, are you guys on any social media platforms for them to be able to follow you, or can they collaborate with ASAP in any way in terms of the projects and initiatives and the toy libraries? Please tell us more.
Sure. Well, if they look up Adopt a South African Preschool, they'll find the website. And one of the things that people want to do is donate things. One of the really exciting components of this program is what's called an incentive store. So as women attend the trainings and their Saturday morning workshops on how to do your business even more effectively, business skill development, and so on and so forth. But as they achieve their goals, every 6 months they review the national curriculum, the national preschool guidelines of the country with their coach, and they set goals for the next 6 months. As they proceed to improve the quality of the teaching and the whole school and their business plan for their school and so on, they get points. They're sort of like Monopoly points or something, and they can buy toys with those points, or soup ladles, or medical kits, or fire extinguishers, things they need for their school. And so we can receive donations for that, for sure. And there's always financial donations. But because we order toys in bulk, it's not like somebody can say, oh, well, can I just bring my child's toys over? Maybe, maybe not, or maybe part of the incentive store, but those are some of the ways that we know of now. We are developing an Adopt a South African Preschool nonprofit here, so ASAP SA, and there'll be more that comes with how can people volunteer and help, I think, as we get that grounded here.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many viewers out there who are so inspired by what you do and the amazing initiatives. So thank you for sharing that information. And viewers at home, you can absolutely go through to the website to find out all the information you need to be able to assist in any way that you can. I mean, we all have, the responsibility to the children of South Africa, and the more that we can do, absolutely the better. Now, I also want to talk to you about the entrepreneurial role that these daycare centers have. Now, coming in with ASAP, and as well as your partner PEN's ECD coaches and things like that, you're really uplifting the space. You're uplifting and empowering the educators as well as the children who are part of it. Can you share any examples or success stories of how the owners are thriving now after having been through your program and worked with you as well as your partners?
Well, there are 4 levels that preschools go through. The level 1 is basically health and safety. And so when a school registers with us, that's the first thing is, are there boards with nails over in the corner somewhere? Are there other stuff that needs to be moved out so that this space is really available and safe? And then it moves to teaching and to communication with parents and how you actually run the school itself. The 4th level gets you to veteran stage, and once a school reaches the veteran stage, they no longer need the mentoring, but they can borrow the educational toys still and enjoy the curriculum materials. But they progress, and they three of the preschools from each of the hubs in December at the end of the school year are selected as having made the most improvements that year. And they receive a pair of dolls, boy and girl dolls. These dolls are clothed in the most beautiful hand-done knitted garments with buttons and snaps and things for the children to, develop fine motor skills. And they are really a treasured item You can't have them in a toy library because you can't borrow dolls and then have them taken back. So the school owners want to have pairs of dolls in their schools. And just parenthetically about that, it's really beautiful to see the boys holding these dolls and feeding them and changing them and doing the whole thing, because we know that boys need to have that model of socialization, of caring for young children. And they may or may not have that in the place where they live, whether there's a father figure present, but they're doing this with the dolls. It's very sweet. But this, the expression on the faces of these women who were selected as the 3 who progressed the most this past year, they're just beaming. They're just ecstatic. I mean, to be recognized in that way and then to be given these pairs of beautiful dolls. We've gotten some lovely grants from Rotaries, and I'm sure there'll be more, fingers crossed, because there's just no end to things that are needed. But I think a recent donation from one of the Rotaries in Pennsylvania, where I live, was another 100 dolls and more tables and chairs that we needed for the certain of the toy library hubs for the training. If anybody has a connection to someone like Trevor Noah or Oprah, I'm all ears, because really to tackle this problem at the scale of our mission, which is that every South African child has a quality preschool experience, we need the small support, we need the volunteer support, and we need people who really share this vision.
Absolutely. I love how big the vision is, and I absolutely believe it is achievable. And that's where we all come in as fellow South Africans as well, small businesses, bigger businesses, individuals as well, to come forward and assist in making this a reality. Yes. But Nancy, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I mean, I'm incredibly inspired by what you've been able to achieve with this initiative. And I know that in 5 or 10 years' time, it's going to absolutely be even bigger than it is now. So thank you so much for joining us, and deeply from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your dedication to providing education to young children in South Africa. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful what you've been able to achieve. And I know that each and every single child who has benefited from this initiative you've started is going to be so grateful one day when they're doctors and lawyers and, serving South Africa and serving their communities as well. So thank you for joining us.
Well, my pleasure, and it is a pleasure to be involved in this. Trust me, I receive as much back as I'm able to help contribute.
Absolutely. Viewers at home, that was Nancy from ASAP, or Adopt a South African Preschool. Please do head over to their website. Remember, the enormity of what is needed for this project means that there is a constant need for resources and assistance. So if you are able to assist in any way, you're a small business, a larger business, please do reach out to them on their website. It is an absolutely incredible initiative. But on that note, viewers, it is time for us to head over to an ad break, and we'll come right back.